And finished. Now, credit where credit is due. Episode 3 and 4 are far and away the best episodes of the season, which isn't saying much when you compare it to episode 1 and 2 and 5 and 6. But I will say, when I watched episode 3, at the end of it, when I first was going through it all, I was like, finally, okay, we've hit our stride. We're getting into this. The story is back on track with a little bit of blood smeared on the windshield because of, Soledad. Hey! But we're going somewhere. I think upon a first watch through, episode 3 is really well paced. Episode 4 is the most entertaining, but episode 3 does the most to move the story along in actual meaningful ways, which is something that the other episodes just really struggled to do. I will say on a rewatch, it's a little harder because there are just so many elements that I'm like, now that I've watched the entire show, it just feels stupid. But whatever, we're going to go through and we'll talk more at the end once I've told you about the episode. So we start the episode in the past at the Amsterdam mother house where two guards are doing a fun little crossword puzzle together when once this smoke. Is there a fire? They run out to the hallway. They open up with their secret keys the doors to the secret library to see it's awash in flames. Everything is gone up into a fiery stroke of horror and destruction. The Library of Alexandria burned to the ground. Who could have done this? Oh no! Intro title sequence plays. We come back to Guy in the present day, barking outside the strip club where he's plagued by the visions of dead Kevis and dead Archie. Oh no! Oh no! That's okay. He notices a X on the telephone booth and off he is. He runs away to the park. Now, Autumn, isn't it pretty conspicuous that Guy immediately leaves every time a funny little X appears on this telephone booth to run to the same park and grab a phone from the same trash can every time? Like, if just anyone was watching him, they'd pick up on the signs immediately and could then find the phone themselves, or worse yet, discover who's leaving the phone. Yeah. Those are some great points. Anyways, Guy picks up the phone. It says, House of Lies. And somehow that translates to the pub where he got dinner.
It's so confusing sometimes to be a girl.
The bartender gestures for him to go upstairs where Helen and the mysterious woman from the club, Olive, are waiting for him. What the hell is going on? Guy says. Olive, in a show of her extraordinary wit and cleverness, parrots the exact same line she said to him in the club. You are in so much trouble. Except he isn't. He's not in any trouble at all. In fact, if anything, at the end of this, Helen ends up sharing more information with him and kind of groveling to him.
It's so confusing sometimes.
Olive tells Guy that Kevis is a witch from a nearby coven who all live on a houseboat together, and those witches, well, they like to keep an eye on the Talamasca. Now, if these witches all live on a houseboat together, why then did Kevis have her own loft. And if the Talamasca is a secret organization and Guy is operating under Guy's secret side mission that's off the books, how would they know to look for him? The day that he got there, like not even had time to get information, the day that he lands.
I don't know.
Couldn't tell ya. We also find out that Kevis's particular skill was in seduction and extraction. What did I tell you? What the fuck did I tell you? And you never have to worry about pretty girls trying to get information and seduce you in tales of espionage and spycraft. Never. But also, that's not like a supernatural witchy power. That's just called being a hot girl, okay? And I would know a thing or two about that.
I'm a hot girl, pop girl, rich girl, I'm a bitch girl.
Guy once again demands total transparency from Helen, and she immediately rolls over. She tells him something has gone missing. The 752. The 752? We've heard that before. What is that? No one's quite sure. It could be a book, could be a magical orb, could be some microfiche. But remember the library that went up in flames at the very beginning of the episode? That was no accident. Someone set alight this library that included all the information, texts, paintings, photographs, scrolls, everything the Talamasca had been accumulating since its inception in 752 AD. Such a shame that all that knowledge went up in flames. Or did it? Because the 752 is believed to be a backup for that library. And the world would be irrevocably changed if the 752 were to end up in the wrong hands. They need to intercept the 752 to keep it... Wait, what's the quote? To keep it from the people who'd use it to hurt people. Surely I wrote that down wrong. To keep it from the people who'd use it to hurt people. It's so redundant. How could they use it to hurt people? Unsure. Are we given instances where the 752 did end up in the wrong hands, which led to calamitous disaster? No, we are shown no stakes. Just told them. Why make you feel a sense of harm when the harm could just be hypothetical, right? The harm is hypothetical, as is the 752, maybe.
What?
Most people don't even think it's real. Olive wants Guy to believe that it's probably not, and that Helen's been obsessed with this for a long time, and he shouldn't trust Helen because she's too obsessed. So, hey, the entire crux of this show could be a wild goose chase? That's cool, right? Am I really to believe that? Am I really to believe that that's an option? And I'm so glad it took us 3 episodes to like really figure out what Guy's mission is here in London to help Helen get the 752, which like we kind of knew that, but we didn't know what the 752 was. So like, what was the point? What was the purpose? We're learning this in the midpoint episode. After being dismissed, Olive tells Guy not to trust Helen's judgment. Now, wait a minute. Who exactly is Olive? Glad you asked. That's Guy's handler. How letting Guy, an untrained rookie, go home with a witch whose skills are seduction and extraction back to his safe house is handling him. Couldn't fucking tell ya. Sure as a bullwhip beats me. So we check back in with Checkers. Remember that Talamasca agent who got demoted for letting Soledad Marcel use his badge? Yeah, he's bragging to his Talamasca chums that he's been promoted to the up until this point unheard of mother house in Jakarta. Ooh, it's a secret mother house. That's why none of you have heard about it. And that's why I'm telling you about it in a pub. A word that literally translates to open to all in the community to be shared or participated in by people at large. Yeah, let's talk about the secret mother house. There. And why was he promoted? Well, obviously for his ability to keep things quiet and for having the balls to talk back to authority. Because that's how things normally work in sketchy institutions with a surveillance issue. Right? Oh no, he's getting kidnapped. What? But what about the Jakarta mother Guy, soft and sweet as he is, can't get the image of poor, blue, dead Kevis out of his mind, so he goes to the Witch Coven houseboat to pay his respects to the dearly departed, where he comes across a wake of sorts. He's approached by Doris, a fellow witch and Kevis's best friend. She tells Guy he's not cut out for the Talamasca, which, no, he's not. She's so right. Talamasca, they're not to be trusted, and he's too soft. He's a little Pillsbury doughboy, and the Talamasca, they're a razor blade oven. We cut to a shot of Helen putting on a pair of glasses similar to Raglan James and pulling her hair back and looking at herself in the mirror. And that'll come back. For sure, it'll come back. Because why would they have put it in the show? Why would we have put time on this? It doesn't. I don't know. We're just being goofy. We're just having a silly little time. Gregory approaches Jasper with a little bit of anger, warning him he's exacerbating the Talamasca's resources. He can't just go kidnapping and getting rid of all of these fucking agents whenever he wants. Doesn't he know that the Amsterdam Mother House is gonna come down hard on them? He's gonna come down hard on them. Don't tempt me with a good time, Jasper says. He brushes him off, and we find out why Gregory has let Jasper ass fuck his way into this top spot at the London Mother House. Gregory has cancer. Oh no. And Jasper is providing him life-saving blood. Vampire blood from himself that he pats on his little chemo sore to heal up and try to make him better. And just personal qualm, he should drink the blood. I get that, like, the healing power, it goes directly on the sore and it's to heal the sore, but vampires are so gay, and the vampires in the show are not at all. Like, they tried to, like, give us a little bit of something with Burton, but I'm not buying it. We need a little bit more homoeroticism, which Jasper does deliver upon in the next episode with Guy. But, like, come on. Drink the blood. Take him inside of you, please. Is that too much to ask for? I don't think so. Across town, Olive, Guy's handler, remember her? She uses one of her many aliases as an MI5 agent with one of the worst wigs ever committed to screen to get access to the crime scene photos of the Archie Kevis attack. The wig is so offensively bad. It's so bad. Like, if someone walked into a police station and tried to say that they worked for a nice, like, a covert operation, like MI5 with that wig, I would pull it off their head and say, try again, honey. Not with that wig on, you don't. Not with that wig on, you don't. That fuck-ass bob. The only person with a fuck-ass bob in this show is Helen. And she's rocking it. I don't know why we thought that we needed another bob in the show. One bob is enough. That's all we get. Anyways, let's check back in on Checkers. Oh my god, he's chained to a dirt hole in a basement in a dungeon. No. Sounds like my kind of Friday night, right, guys? He's talking some mad shit about how he's gonna fuck up Gregory and Jasper until Jasper shows up and he's like, I'm just kidding. I'm please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please, I'll give you whatever you want. And it works. Jasper doesn't kill him. He does turn him into a mindless revenant vampire that he can control with a little plastic clicker, though. How? Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy? How can he ensure that he turns into this mindless revenant? Like, I guess he gives him bad blood, but, like, what does that mean? Like, cancer blood? I don't know. And it just kind of, it cheapens the whole idea of revenant vampires, because, like, in the books and everything, it was kind of like, there's very present this idea that revenants can come about from people who, like, just weren't meant to have the gift, and there's this inherent risk involved with becoming a vampire, because what if you're not strong enough for it? What if you're not strong enough for the life? And this is what happens to you. You turn into, like, this mindless creature who's just seeking hunger and seeking blood. All right? That's part of it. It's not for everybody, okay? that makes it interesting. And then within the show, Interview with the Vampire Season 2, we got the whole element of vampires turning into this because of the state of the blood that they're feeding on. And that was interesting too. But how you ensure that someone being turns into a revenant, I don't know. It's just, so we can just like make up our own little armies now. We can just make up our own little mindless armies now. So like, why wouldn't everybody be doing this? You know? And like, how does he control him with a fucking clicker? With a plastic fucking clicker? Like, what does he put? Is Jasper like really a really good mind power vampire? And the clicker is just for fun? To just show off to the audience when he wants to round up the vamps? No, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. And it really like cheapens the world. It really cheapens the greater world that they're presenting within the Immortal Universe, which thus has effects on Interview with the Vampire, and I don't fucking like it! I don't like it! I think it's dumb! Anyways, Helen! Let's see what the beauty with the bob is up to. She's revisiting old haunts, an abandoned school where we see her memories of twin girls growing up in an experimental school home environment where they learn, they play, and they have tests performed on them. And what's this? Guys followed her all this way to confront her. Again. It's really like becoming a theme. It's happened in every fucking episode so far. Twice already in this episode already. It's a good way to show how he's growing. He goes from man who will stand up for himself and wants to turn back when things get a little too risky and too hard, to man who will stand up for himself and wants to turn back when things get too risky and too hard. He asks what this place is, and Helen tells him because she fucking tells him everything, apparently. It's where she lived for years after the death of her parents. Wow, they're both orphans, which makes them great spies because they don't easily trust people unless they're hot and they invite you to go dancing. And they're oh so good at keeping secrets, she says, before spilling the beans about her upbringing, telling Guy there were other kids there as well. Which, sure, she doesn't tell Guy about her twin sister, but she tells him that the Talamasca ran the school and conducted tests on them, and she doesn't know why or what they were pursuing. Guy asks, once again, for the whole truth of what he's doing here. And Helen fills Guy in on all the dirty dealings of Jasper and what he's doing in the mother house, and says that Archie's death is an escalation. They need to move faster. Now, after we've wasted an entire episode on Guy following him around and like not being in the mother house, now she finally tells him that we need to move things along and we need to get you inside the London mother house. Why did we have the whole of episode 2? Why did we have the whole song and dance with the signals on the telephone booth and the strip club and Kevin and all of that shit, when the whole point eventually was always just to get him here to end up in the mother house, which is initially like, that's why else? That's what I thought he was going to be doing. We end episode 1 with him going to London, start episode 2. He's starting at the mother house, and he knows that eyes are going to be on him and that he's going to be suspected to be Helen's little mole. So now he's got to try to convince everybody that he's not. It would have provided so much more intrigue. So much more intrigue. And so many more opportunities to introduce Jasper in earlier. And for Guy and Jasper, who have the best chemistry in the entire show, to have more screen time together and to learn and understand Jasper more, and then also the inner workings of the Talamasca more, and then from there, exploit how Jasper could maybe be trying to manipulate Guy because he thinks he's Helen's mole and getting him to join his cause. And it's this whole conflict of who does he trust? Does he trust Helen or does he trust Jasper? There's your show instead of all of this. But like, whatever. Guy refuses. He says he's going back to his job at Cabot, which once again, I say, this doesn't really endear me to him at all. It's like, oh, things have gotten a little bit risky. Oh no. Yeah, I'm out. I don't really care about finding out about my mom that much. So I'm just gonna go back to my schmoozy nice job. If that's, we good with that? We good with that? You guys still like me though, right? The audience, you want to root for me, right? But in the sole instance of Helen finally manipulating a little bit and pulling the rug out from under him, informs Guy that that's no longer an option. He can't go back to his job at Cabot. I don't know. I would have loved like more follow-up to like Helen be like, yeah, I told them that you're not coming back, that you've accepted a job with us. Like, show her actively fucking him over so that we have more reason to not really trust Helen because she has these ulterior motives. And obviously she'll exploit Guy, you know, to achieve her own ends. But instead, we're just pretty much shown her to be pretty accommodating to everything that he needs. So they keep telling us not to trust her, but then keep showing us that she seems pretty trustable. I don't know. You know, whatever. What do I know? I just pour wine. I pour wine, and that's all I do with my life. I'm not a screenwriter. I don't know nothing about stories. This is the one instance in the entire show, not just up until this point, in the entire show, where Helen is shown to manipulate a little bit. And even then, it's so, oh, do you guys have little kitten toes? Because you're really pussyfooting around this. They don't want to like have her threatened too much because that could risk you not liking one of their good guys. Because spoiler alert, guys, Helen is a good guy. So this whole don't trust Helen thing that they have going on, where you're supposed to believe that she's this gray character that you don't know what side she's really on and what she can really do, it's all for nothing. She's Guy's savior. She's Guy's savior at the end of the day. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Whereas we could have used this scene to show how cutthroat she is. After Guy says that he's going back to Cabot, and Helen's like, I'm afraid that's not an option anymore, Guy asks, and what happens if I leave? This was your opportunity to have her say, well, you lose my protection. Jasper spotted you last night at the bar. I'm not going to help you out with that. You're on your own. Or, hey, I've blacklisted you from all the law firms in New York City. You're never going to work in the Big Apple ever, or anywhere else. Anywhere that I have reached, you're not going to be happy unless you help me. Or, I leak footage of you at Kevis and Archie's crime scene, and I hand you over to the London police. Like, just something instead of, I really wouldn't do that if I were you. That's such an empty threat. Why not? Why shouldn't he do it? We haven't seen the depravity that Helen can sink to really make us question if guys should trust her or not. This, like just tinkering with this and having her fuck up Guy's life in a really crucial way and really threaten him would do that for us. It's like the exact same issue that I have with the 752. Oh, if it ends up in the wrong hands, something bad will happen. Well, if you try to go back to Cabot, something bad will happen. That means nothing. Put something on the line, okay? Put Guy's life on the line. She does confirm to Guy in this scene that his mom was in the Talamasca, but she's not been seen for ages because she's a fugitive who did a very bad thing, which, like, that kind of seems to be all that the Talamasca does. All this show does is show how bad the Talamasca is. So, I mean, I don't really see what the point is with his mom doing something that's also fucked up. But whatever. So Guy, he goes to the mother house. He walks right in and demands to speak to Jasper. And Jasper, as I said, doesn't recognize him at all from the night prior. When he caught Guy listening in on his secret meeting with Archie. It's not like there's any particular reason why he would, I don't remember Guy at all. It's not like he's paranoid or expressed concern over a mole being sent to foil his plans. Guy tells Jasper everything. Who he is, that he's been working with Helen, and he was sent here to infiltrate Jasper's offices for information about the 752. And he's tired of being lied to and jerked around like a banana slingshot by Helen. He wants to try his luck with Jasper. Would you bet on me, mister? Would you put a mortgage down on me? Intrigued by this funky little turncoat, Jasper not only accepts Guy's offer to join forces, he insists that he stay. There, at the mother house, trapped, as little rats should be. But who's outside watching after Guy? Doris. Remember the witch from earlier, Kevis's friend who told him not to trust the Talamasca? Now, I do believe that we are supposed to question whether Guy has really turned on Helen and is embracing Jasper, or if he's just playing Jasper. I think that's what I'm supposed to be thinking. Unfortunately, with what I've been shown of Guy's character, I did not question for a second, and I still don't. Like, I've rewatched this show multiple times now. I still think that Guy 100% was like, well, fuck you, Helen. I'm going to try my luck with this Jasper guy. Once again, I have to say, what a little bitch. I don't like him. If they'd shown Helen be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more manipulative towards him, I would understand it and I would empathize more. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. So here we are, where I think that Guy's a little traitor. And yeah, that's all it is. It just doesn't make him a good protagonist. Guy just, he floats down the river, and wherever the current takes him, he goes. All right, he doesn't put his paddle in the water not once. Okay, he sticks to no one. The second that they are not actively helping him out, he ditches them, which could be a fun character to explore. I mean, in the next episode we get Raglan James, who obviously we don't know a whole lot about him, but he's that type of guy, and he's fun. You can, if you lean into it, if you don't try to like make us think that he has redeeming qualities, you know. I have to reiterate, like, him turning coat makes it seem like he wasn't expecting Helen to be a little bit questionable and put his foot on his throat a little bit, which makes him seem foolish. Everything makes him seem so foolish. What did you expect? What did you expect to happen? All of this could have been forgiven if he still at his core was like, all I care about at the end of the day is figuring out where my fucking mom is. But unfortunately, we just forget about good old mommy dearest. She's out in hiding, and she's hid so good that the writers forgot about her. So instead, it just seems like Guy's holding on for what? What is he holding on for? What is he turncoating for? None of it. It just works. It's just dumb. I think I expressed a lot of critique within the recap. I'm going to blaze ahead to episode 4.
I'm so tired, I don't know what to do.
We open episode 4 on this sexy, hot piece of meat. An ancient vampire being drained of blood, vials locked away in a special fridge. Can I get a taste of that? Can I get a taste? Meanwhile, Olive waits around in the park where Guy has yet to appear to pick up his latest drop. Once again, you might be wondering, hey Autumn, if Olive is just going to show up to the park when Guy is late, and we've already seen them meet on multiple occasions in person, then what's the point of this nonsensical Wide X signal drop song and dance? At this point, why doesn't Olive just tell him where he needs to go and when? And you know what? That's another gold star question that I simply don't have an answer for. Helen brushes it off. Don't worry about Guy. He's in one of his moods. He's on his period. Leave out a bar of chocolate. He'll turn up soon. You know, typical spy behavior. moody and argumentative towards authority. But Helen's distracted. She's too busy wondering who left flowers at her parents' grave. Could it be her long-lost twin? But she hasn't seen her since she was 9. And she is in London?
What the fuck is going on in here on this day?
Back at the Love Shack, Mother House, Jasper and Guy are getting to know each other. Sexually.
You and I could have some fun together after all.
I'm kidding. I wish. Jasper tells Guy over a non-poisoned breakfast that puncture wounds were found on Archie's neck, meaning he was attacked by a vampire. Ooh. Hey guys, do you know that vampires exist? Do you know that, hey, vampires. Hey, guys, oh my god. We've gone like 5 minutes without a mention of vampires. Do you guys know about this show, Interview with a Vampire? Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good. Just like this show. This show's also really, really good. Jasper just so happens to know of a vampire coven who operate a hotel as a cover for their black market dealings. They want to be Night Island so bad. I'm a
hot girl, pop girl, rich girl, I'm a bitch girl, fast girl, catch me if you can go.
So one of them must have killed Archie, snatched the book, because at this point, Guy's pretty certain he knows that the 752 is the book that he saw Kevis carrying around in her purse. The book that Archie pointed to moments before succumbing to death and said, "Book!" Guy asks Jasper what he's going to do with the book once he has his hands on it. Jasper says, "I don't know about the book, but I do know what I'm going to do when I get my hands on you. Come with me, my little caterpillar. I'm about to make you into a butterfly." To the sex dungeon!
If I tell you now.
Not really. It's just a normal dungeon in a basement. It's a basement dungeon. Jasper takes him there to show off his funny little pet project, Checkers, and the other revenant vampires. And then Jasper regales Guy with the story of Talamasca's Old, wherein an ancient vampire bribed a Talamasca agent for information on the whereabouts of a vampire who had him banished from his coven because he didn't want to drink human blood 7 centuries prior. Provided the information by the Talamasca agent, the ancient vampire finds the new coven made up of humans and vamps alike and murders them all, except one, who wasn't present for the bloodbath that night. Can you guess who that might have been? Oh my god, tickle my tits and call me Nancy. It's Jasper! He was a human then, but later found the dark gift elsewhere and became a vampire. That's what the Talamasca does. It breaks families apart. Now, one could argue that banishing a vampire from your coven for a dietary difference is what really breaks families apart. But I don't know, semantics. Jasper wants to take down the scourge of snakes and vipers that comprise the Talamasca. They use information learned from vampires and witches and the like to keep them in line. And Jasper doesn't like that. Not one bit.
In the worst part, we let him do it.
Which, fine, sure, I can take that as his motivation. But he also wants the 752 because it contains the location of all the vamps in the world. And why would he want access to that information? Oh, because he wants to make more vampires.
Do you know how many vampires there are right now in the world? No. Not enough.
I don't understand, bitch. Don't understand. I don't understand, bitch.
How would Jasper know that the 752 contains that information, since no one has ever seen the 752 apparently, and a lot of people don't even think it exists? Don't know. And hey, how would the 752 contain the locations of all the vampires in all the world if it is a book, which Guy and Jasper believe it to be? If vampires can, what is that word? Right, move! Also, why does Jasper want more vampires in the world. I mean, there seem to be quite a few in the city that he's living in that he's not super duper crazy about. And, hey, if Jasper really wants more vampires in the world, why doesn't he just make more vampires? I mean, sure, yeah, it would expedite his great plans, but, haven't really seen him put in the work to execute those plans. So, I don't know, buddy. You don't really seem like you want it all that much. And, once again, I'm gonna ask, why does he want more vampires? I never, ever, ever, ever understand this plot point in vampire media. It's like a common theme. And every time, I'm just like, why? You telling me you want more creatures to like be in competition with? What about the food source? You know, I know that there's like 8 billion people, but if like all the vampires just start creating more vampires, there's gonna be less and less people to feed on. Also, Jasper doesn't seem that concerned with companionship. You know, he seems pretty much like a lone wolf type of guy. I don't really know what the thought process is in getting more vampires in the world. Because if it's all about like being a head man and a head honcho and trying to like preside over the vampires, which they all seem to be kind of fucking around and doing their own things. And what would he preside over to begin with? Vampires do have covens, that's the thing. They don't really like to hang out together a whole lot. It's not a thing that generally happens. So like, what's the point? What's the fucking point of more vampires in the world? I just we don't get any explanation. We don't get any explanation. Because fuck you for wanting to know. Loser? What? Were you a nerd or something? What are you, like, a psychology student? You trying to get inside his brain? Try to understand things? You think characters should have reasons for doing the things that they do? Dumb. I just don't get it. I think I'm just so frustrated with this because it's indicative of a reoccurring problem with this show where it just wants to give you tropes. Like, hey, here's something that happens in spy movies and spy stories. Here's something that happens in vampire movies, and just leaving it there instead of using the trope to explore more about a character, like the character's reasonings for doing things. Yes, every story's going to have tropes in it, but it's why you use the tropes and how you use the tropes to better illustrate your world and illustrate your characters that like makes them important, not just having them. With this, it's like, oh, why does Jasper want more vampires? Because that's something that vampires want. I don't know. Like the closest reasoning that we get is he makes a comment about how vampires used to have a seat at the table, you know, at the Talamasca and everything, but now they don't, and that needs to change. But I don't think it's like a lack of vampires that brought that about. You know, I think it's probably more of like a lack of interest from the vampires. I think Jasper might be the only one who really cares all that much about, you know, being on the board. Like you can't introduce us to new vampires every single episode and then talk about all these other covens of vampires and then also tell us, but there's really not enough though. At least without showing these vampires actively be exploited by the Talamasca. They do kind of show that, but in a way to where like these vampires fucked themselves over and the Talamasca is like, hey, we can offer you a way out of this situation that you created if you help us out. Like it is a little bit of blackmail, but like if the Talamasca weren't there, the vampire would have just received the consequences of their own actions anyways. So like even with Burton, he's like, don't trust Helen, don't trust the Talamasca. They're housing me and they're keeping me safe from the coven of vampires of the one vampire that I did kill. So they are helping me out, but like this is a prison. This is a prison of my own making. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't seem as exploitative as they want me to believe it is. And then to anyone who's like, but Autumn, you say that Jasper's not making more vampires, but look at Checkers, look at their evidence. I don't think those count. Those cannot count. What are they going to do on a committee meeting They just fumble Jasper so hard because they're like, the Talamasca exploits vampires and they do all these terrible things to vampires, but he's also exploiting vampires by creating these revenants. Like, is that not a crime against vampiredom? You're like imprisoning your brethren in a way? I don't know. Just make it make sense. Make anything make sense. Also, later on in this very episode, he wants to say that, like, the Talamasca breaks families apart. Later on in this very episode, they send checkers up, and he kills, like, 3 vampires. How is that not a crime against vampires? You're breaking a family apart. Are you not? Make it make sense. Why didn't we just stick with the revenge mission? That's fine. That's enough. That would make a whole heck of a lot more sense. He doesn't need to be principled. He doesn't need to, like, have these grand ideas about what's good for vampiredom at large. He should just be focused on Jasper. Jasper does, however, give Guy a compelling argument to helping him out. Finally, like, Jesus Christ, someone does. Jasper tells Guy that if the Talamasca is taken down, that'll be Guy's mother's one opportunity to finally come out of hiding. Because who is she hiding from? The Talamasca. No more Talamasca. Mom can come out of hiding. Now that's a good argument. I will give them that. That's a great argument. Good reasoning. We could have, like, leaned into that more. Do we? Sorry. It's just my allergy to bullshit flaring up. Oh my god. So, we dip on over to Detective Who Gives a Shit, pouring through the CCTV footage of the night that Archie died. Oh, wait. No, that's another thing. I think that happened in the last episode. Sorry, forgot to mention it because I just don't fucking care about this detective storyline. Now she's looking through footage of the Soledad Marcel before she went all Frogger in front of the train. Hey! And she notices that she had a package with her at one point, and then when she, goes to the rail yard, no package. She stashed it somewhere. However will Detective Bullcup find it? However will she know to look? She's just a lone woman on a mission. What are the odds that she would be able to unearth this when a trained spy ditched her bounty when the spy organization she worked for hasn't even discovered it yet? What are the odds? I mean, Soledad did leave a signal before she died, so surely the Talamasca would have, been looking into that and knowing about the signals and everything would have tapped into the CCTV footage and maybe figured it out at this point. And no. Oh, actually, Detective Bulkhead, she found it. She found it immediately at the playground. Go team. Inside pack of cigarettes. Hey, one final smoke before you die. Am I right? Go out, cigs ablazing. Am I right, folks?
Am I right?
Who can say where the road goes?
But inside the cigarette case is also a flash drive, with encrypted information, that she and Data Dude will have to try to crack. Helen! What's that crazy cat doing? She's out on a mission of her own. She's dropped in on an old Talamasca schoolmate from her childhood to try to get information on her missing sister. Now that's interesting. I do think the development of Helen's storyline here and her missing sister is fascinating. And there's a key reason why, because they show us glimpses of it. That's all we need. Just like these little vignettes do so much more for developing interest in Helen's storyline and her figuring out what the Talamasca was testing her for and where her sister is. I'm so much more invested in that storyline because of this. That's it. Than I am in Guy's storyline to find his mom. Because I think they forget about the fact that he wants information on his mom at times. Because it just doesn't seem very top of mind. So she's asking old Diva if she knows if her sister is still alive, if she knows anything about what the Talamasca was testing them for. Let it go, the Diva implores. I can't, Helen responds. What are you doing here? Oh my god, look, it's the Diva, but in a different form. It's her twin sister. She's a twin too. The Talamasca was going after twins. That's interesting, but this twin is not rocking with Helen. You work for them now? Get out! I work for them so I could find answers, and I still don't have them. I just want to talk. Whoops. The twin sends a vase flying through the air. It smashes next to Helen. In the one instance that we see of like supernatural power aside from mind reading ability, we have a houseboat, need I remind you, filled with witches. And yet, this is the only time that we see any sort of like kind of magical woo-woo powers in the entire show, other than like the vampire shit. Yeah. I think that's a really great use of having an entire houseboat, an entire coven of witches, in your show. It's just to show them never once using those powers. Ever. As Helen leaves, the demure twin slips a note into her pocket with a name on it. Ooh, a clue. This wasn't a dead end. This wasn't a wasted visit. Oh, great. Because 4 episodes into your 6-episode run, you really shouldn't be leading us to dead ends, right? Right? Every scene should have something to race us ahead to the eventual end of the story, right? Wouldn't that be nice? Meanwhile, Jasper, Guy, and Checkers are on their way to the Vampire Hotel, where Guy is to run interference on the handoff of the 752 in a deal that Jasper is sure will take place there at the hotel that night. He's heard rumblings about a very big deal going on there, and it's gotta be the 752. Guy sinks inside and uses his mind powers to zero in on some vamps in the corner. His mind powers, remember those? Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if he forgot about them, considering he never fucking uses them, even though that was the one reason he was specifically scouted and recruited for this mission. The mind powers, he's still using his meds to neutralize. He's still on his meds. In episode 4, we find out in episode 1 that honestly, we don't even really know what the meds are for because they don't fucking tell us. But I'm just like left to assume that he's taking them for the voices in his head, because every time he gets voices in his head, he takes the fucking meds. So that's what you would assume that they're for, right? And he's sent into this hotel to listen in. And yet, when he does listen in and he starts to hear voices, what's he do? He takes his meds so that he can't use the power that he's sent there to use. Why weren't these taken away the moment he was sent to London? Hey, you don't need these. They're actually getting in the way of you hearing better. So if you throw them away, you'll do your job a lot better. Like, and if they just did any work at all, if they made it seem like hearing these voices was uncontrollable and untamable and unbearable, I would understand why he continues to use his medication to quiet it down. Like, I would get that. Like, if it was painful to him and it was just like too overwhelming, then fine. But they don't. So why is he still taking the meds? We only really see him kind of failing to use his powers until later on in this episode. But like, the failing would be fine if it were shown his determination to try again. Up until this point, he tries to listen in on Helen. She's like, that won't work on me. Stop it. Like, don't even try. And that pilot, he also like listens in on Daniel, and he's like, hey, I don't fucking like that. Get the fuck out of my head. So like, I guess we're not going to do that anymore. When he meets Olive or Kevis, he doesn't try to get in their heads or glean any information from him. When he listens in to Archie and Jasper's meeting, does he hear anything? No. When he meets Doris, sure, he tries to get in her head just for her to be like, hey, stop, you can't do that. So like, why was he recruited? Why? Just show us him trying, putting in a little bit of effort, you know? So they tell him not to get in their minds. Don't pull that shit with me. Maybe he tries to butter them up, talk about other things, and then slip in a back door, you know, distract them, and then try to infiltrate their mind. You know, some sort of determination on his end to just do anything. He's just kind of like bebopping around everywhere and not really pursuing much. In fact, it was justified. That was frustrating. It's very frustrating. That was me giving birth to my disappointment baby. The point that I'm trying to make here is that later on in this episode, when Guy finally uses his powers in an extraordinary way, it kind of just comes out of fucking nowhere. Because we've not seen him put forth any effort to improve his skills whatsoever. Which then leads me to believe that he could have been doing this type of shit that we're going to see later on this whole time. And if that's the case, then he's even more of a flop. Huge flop. Belly flop from a 50-foot high dive. All right? And everybody in town is out there at the pool today, okay? Because it's the hottest fucking day of the year. And everyone wants a little bit of that sweet, sweet water. And they see you. They see you flop. The smack heard around the world. They picked it up on the Richter scale. They heard it in Russia. That's how big of a flop he is. It's like the growth journey. The growth journeys in this show are whack. Anyways, this does, however, lead us to the highlight of the entire season, where Guy runs into none other than everyone, and by everyone, I do mean me, myself, and I's favorite dog, favorite rascal James, Raglan James, yeah, the mutt, the mange-covered trash panda, the cat with macaroni on his back, Raglan James. I don't know what that means. Squishy, slippery, slimy, so I don't know. Just, you ever tried putting macaroni on a cat's back? That's what Raglan James is like.
I fucking hate this cat.
We get a delightful exchange where Raglan immediately pinpoints Guy as a Talamasca operative.
I know you're Talamasca. I don't know what you're talking about. Hookers and spies can always make out their own kind. Adjuncts, professors, too. Raglan James.
And tells him to get the fuck out so he doesn't fuck up his deal with the vamps. Positive that this must be the 752 deal, Guy refuses to leave, but not before he's intercepted by yet another familiar face, Doris, who also tells him to get the fuck out of there. He is in danger, and she insists that the 752 is not real. Give it up and get the fuck out of Dodge. But Guy, he can't be swayed. He tricks Raglan into allowing him to tag along to the deal with the vamps. Falling for Guy's overly simplistic ruse, Raglan accepts. Except he doesn't. You can't out-shimmy a seasoned dancer, and Raglan has done a tango or two in his time. Once inside the vampire suite to seal the deal, he immediately sells Guy out, telling them he manipulated his way into the deal and offers him as payment in exchange for the goods. Not a shabby bargain. The vamps get a mind-reading Talamasca agent, and Raglan gets to keep his briefcase full of money. Ooh la la. Maybe there's enough for a nice trip for two to Greece. I don't know. Have you guys been to Santorini? I'd love to go.
Yeah.
Ever-present Doris, however, sends a message to Jasper's crony awaiting in the van outside with checkers that Guy is in trouble in room 901, or whatever room that he's in. I can't quite remember. The crony sends Checkers to help, and help he does. Checkers climbs through the window. Actually, he rips off the window and one by one tears apart each vampire as they slip into this room, unnoticed by the other vampires. Murders conveniently masked by the belting tones of Howard Jones.
Think of something. A memory.
I'm sorry. I don't think I conveyed to you the ridiculousness of this scenario. So, there is a twink vampire feeding in the next room over. The next room over, Guy, Raglan, two main vampires, Vaughn and Baldy, are hanging out doing the deal in this living room. And the open door, right next door, Checkers tears the window off of the wall, climbs in, and tears apart the twink, which fine. I can get it because Twink Vampire is so whiny and weak and annoying that I was just glad for him to be gone.
So hungry. Jesus.
And when I say tear apart, I do mean he rips arms off, he like gouges throats out. It's not a quiet scene of destruction. And do either vamps inside, vampires, supernaturally gifted creatures with super hearing and super presence of mind and can hear heartbeats, do they notice? No. Why? Because song's playing. Song, loud music, play. Loud music, play, mask everything. Baldy tells Vaughn to go in the room to turn the music down. Vaughn walks in. He's also ripped to shreds. And let me tell you, Vaughn, not a small guy, not a weak little twink, okay? He's a big dude. And I would assume he's been around for a little bit, longer than a day, longer than the day that Checkers has been a vampire. But who do you think is stronger? Huh? Who do you think tears who apart? Checkers. Checkers gets to jump on Vaughn and rips him apart. Also, we're shown in episode 3, Jasper's crony feeding the revenants animals. And we know from Interview with the Vampire, animal blood does not a strong vampire make. And again, does anyone notice except for Guy? No. And the only reason Guy notices is because he can see the room. And then finally, Baldy, the last and final vampire, goes in there because the music wasn't turned down. And he's like, Vaughn, Gabriel, what the fuck are you doing? And he walks in there. And what happens to him? Well, he's also torn to shreds by Checkers. It's so ridiculous. And it could have been a really fun scene had they leaned into that ridiculousness. I think they tried to a bit, but they maintain this kind of almost level of tension to where they're trying to pass this off as a believable scenario that could happen. When instead it just should have been played for laughs. This is so absurd. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. So it comes across as stupid. But had you just leaned into the ridiculousness of it all and had them be like, hey, Guy, why aren't you focusing? Come on, man. You look like you've seen a ghost. Or, stupid shit to just highlight the stupidity of the whole scene. I would have been so on board. In episode 5 of Interview with the Vampire, the scene where the cops are tearing apart the townhouse, looking for evidence and everything. And Claudia's like, oh shit, I got all these fucking souvenirs. I gotta go hide them. And it's played for comedy. It's so ridiculous and crazy and grim and macabre, but it works because it's this wonderful mesh of all of these things together. And she's throwing away the fingers and the breast, and the desiccated man comes falling out of the boudoir, gasping for breath, and I'm getting ready for bed.
Excuse me, miss.
It's hilarious. It works. Why they didn't do something like that with this scene, I just don't know. I don't know. I've talked to a few people about this series and this episode and this scene in particular since filming this. And quite a few people have said they actually liked the scene and they found the humor in it and they thought it was funny. And just from this setup, from what I, tell you here, it is funny. I do see what they were going for. I think the issue for me is that interjected into this scene, had it just been this on its own, it would have worked. It would have hit that ridiculousness level for me to where I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. This is humorous. What makes it not humorous and takes me out of it is in the middle of all of this happening is a very sincere scene where the vampires were like, prove that you can read minds and you can read vampire minds. You need to read my mind right now. And this is the first real show of power that we have from Guy in the 4 episodes. This is the first time we're really seeing him use his powers to full effect. And it's a very sincere scene of this vampire as a boy riding a horse, and he's scared until he finally lets go. And for the first time and the last time, he felt alive in his life. And then interjected with that, we have this kooky thing going on with Checkers, and it just feels so conflicting that the funniness of the scene is drained because I'm also supposed to be in it, though. Like, you can't have both simultaneously. This either needs to be an absurd scene that I'm not supposed to take that seriously, or a scene that I need to be invested in and care a lot about. So that's just why it doesn't work for me. Anyways, the vampire gang are torn to shreds by the newly made revenant vampire. Raglan and Guy are able to walk out of the lion's den unharmed. Well, Raglan did get shot by one of the vampires. By one of the gun-toting vampires. The only fucking vampire who should have a gun. Wait, Claudia. Sounds pretty badass. But also she's a weaker vampire. That makes sense. And Blade. Okay. Claudia and Blade. That's it. That's all I'm granting. Okay. Nothing else. No more. No more. Underworld. I love you. But I'm sorry. I gotta stick to my guns. Because I am a human and not a vampire. So I'm allowed to have them. You are not. But anyways, Raglan will be fine. He'll be fine. Don't worry about him.
I'm a hot girl, rich girl, I'm a bitch girl.
But before he leaves, Guy picks up one of the guns and points it at Raglan, demanding he open the briefcase. Raglan does, revealing locked inside are vials of blood. No book, no 752 in sight. Did we learn any new information about the 752 in this whole thing? No. Was there anything that happened within this whole sequence of events that we spent like half the episode on? Anything that happened in here really change the story moving forward? No. Other than the fact that like Guy finally like utilizes his powers like for real for the first time. He like gets inside one of the vampire's minds and tells him a memory. And he decides to ditch his medication. Which, we didn't need this for that. That could have happened at any point. We could have had a show of power and him deciding to get rid of his meds at any given point in the series. The Vampire Hotel storyline wasn't a necessity to that. They could have made that work somewhere else. You sick of seeing me yet? What I'm trying and failing to explain to you, and do give me a break. I was about 4 hours into filming at this point. Wait till you get to episode 3, part 3. Ooh, episode. That's what these are called now. Part 3. You're going to be seeing a whole heck of a lot more than me, because that girl, she's cooked. But anyways, the Vampire Hotel, these characters that we will never see again because they're dead now, all would have been fine within a 22 episode season of television. But as I've repeatedly stated, ad nauseum at this point, this is a 6 episode season. It just feels too side questy. Like this Vampire Hotel, the characters that we meet here don't matter to where we end up in the next 2 episodes. If we had more episodes and more time to just kill and go on these goofy little adventures where, sure, we can meet people and kill them off in the same episode and never visit them again because we have time to burn, then fine. This would have been a goofy girly time. But that simply just isn't the case. What are the important things that happened within the Vampire Hotel? As I stated, show of power for Guy, ditches the meds. Nothing about the vampires that we meet here in the hotel carry forward to the plot. Like imagine we'd just taken those 2 plot points and applied them to the characters and surroundings that we have already within the show. What if it was Jasper who made Guy look inside somebody's mind? Forced him to read someone else's mind against their will, maybe. And Guy's like, I don't want to do that. And Jasper's like, oh, you don't? Too bad. Too fucking bad. You're on my side now. You said you wanted to work with me. This is working with me. Fucking do it. And under the duress, Guy does it. He learns this about himself, that he can do this, but he also learns more about Jasper. And he's going to take that lesson and what he knows about Jasper, and that will inform his decisions later on and his relationship with Jasper moving forward in the next 2 episodes. Or just something like that, to where what happened here has some weight to the rest of the season. But he does, really lean into his power with this And like I said, he gets rid of his medication. So that means, right, okay, sure, we haven't really been utilizing his power all that much up until this point. That means episode 5 and 6, we're really leaning into it, right? We're going to see a growth in those powers, right? We're going to use it so much more than we did before, right? But back to the scene at hand. Raglan gives Guy a little pep talk about looking out for number 1. Don't get hung up on doing things for the Talamasca or anyone other than yourself. And then Raglan exits, which I love Raglan, but this isn't really a lesson learned because Guy was already doing this. We have a scene where he tells Doris he's doing exactly this.
To help this Jasper fellow.
To help myself.
So once again, it's not like we needed this whole scene and this whole setup for Guy to learn this lesson that he was already doing. Now, who walks in to the suite other than Jasper, where he puts that music back on? Sade this time. He dims the lights, and he makes sweet love to Guy on the blood and intestine-soaked sheets of Checker's carnage. And he said, "I'm so glad you threw those damn pills away, Sugar Pop, so now you can see all the things I want to do to you." And the episode ends, leaving your mind to wander until next time.
If I tell you how I feel.
Oh shit. This isn't my script. This is AO3. Sorry. Back. Okay. So who walks in? Other Jasper. He joins Guy in the suite where he observes the bloody scene before him with apathy. But wait. Do you hear that? There's someone else in this apartment.
I warned you.
It's Raglan. He's come back because he forgot to properly pilfer the dead vampires' bodies of their valuables. But upon seeing Jasper, he sets the needle to sweetest taboo, and the three of them make sweet love on the blood and intestine-soaked sheets. Damn it! How did that happen again? Sorry. AO3. Must have switched tabs. My bad. Jasper and Guy open an adjoining door to find the ancient vampire from the beginning of the episode, drained of life, blood, and power, begging for death, which Jasper grants him, ripping his head from his body. What good are the Talamasca when they let this happen right under their noses? Like, IDK, brewski, this kind of seems like vamp on vamp violence, though, right? Whatever! The two return to the van where we see Doris slip into the back trunk unnoticed by neither the fucking animal Checkers nor the suspicious, time-stopping, heightened-sensed vampire Jasper. Jasper, who we just saw in the previous scene, was able to hear a heartbeat of another being a room away, but he doesn't hear Doris in the trunk because, I don't know, reasons. Jasper asks Guy who the girl was who tipped them off. I don't know, Guy responds. Do we think Jasper believes in folks? Do we? Ay. Now, I know that I've been very harsh, but I'm this harsh because, as a wise man once said, the line between love and hate is very slim. And I was so ready to love this show. I was waiting with it with open arms, open eyes, open heart, open legs, whatever. And this is what they delivered to me. So yeah, I'm going to be a little bit fucking harsh. But I will say this episode is actually pretty entertaining on its own if you disconnect it from the rest of the series. Because the chemistry in Guy, as I've said before, is unmatched. It's the best pairing in the entire show. I don't know why they didn't have Guy be a mole from the moment he got to London. And then we could have seen more of this sparkling chemistry between the two of them. Can you just oh my god! Oh, how good would that have been? Jasper whispering in one ear, Helen whispering in the other. Who shall he believe? Helen or Jasper, mommy or daddy, the orphan can't decide. And the whole banter with Raglan James, oh my god. I love that little guy. When he's, starting off the deal and he's like, I have something better for you. Him. It's so good. It's so funny. However, this is a 6-episode season and you have to utilize every single second on screen to move your story along and or develop your characters. And at the end of episode 4, we are not any closer to knowing where the 752 is than where we were at the end of episode 3. And that is supposed to be the main plot line of this series, figuring out the 752, where it is, and who's going to end up with it. And you know what? In fact, we are further away from learning the truth about the 752 because in this episode, we have Doris now telling Guy with resounding confidence that the 752 doesn't exist. And if that's true, then what the fuck are we doing here? We don't learn any new information about Guy's mom or her whereabouts or just anything with that. We can just kind of like forget about her for a bit. Not a bit. We don't touch on Guy's mom until the final minute of the finale episode. And even then, you don't learn anything new. It's just a cliffhanger for the next season. We do get the clue about Helen's sister. And remember what I said about, oh, this scene wasn't wasted because it led to something. We got something from it. The vampire hotel sequence, what did we get from it? It was so easy. If they would have just inserted one little thing, one line of the vampires, like at the end as they're dying, or like Guy, you know, after Checkers has like torn everybody to shreds, he's like, hey, do you know anything about the 752? And they give them something. He gives them something. Then it would have been worth it. It was so easy. But instead, no. We're just like faffing about, having a laugh, and not developing the story. And I think the whole goal was to try to like develop Guy's character a bit. Again, how I was saying, he got rid of the meds and he used his powers and now he's going to lean into his powers. And that would have been fine and dandy if he actually did that in the next 2 fucking episodes, but he doesn't until like the very end. And even then it's just like, oh, okay. And we've jumped here. Cool. It's frustrating because this is an entertaining episode and the episode previous was well-paced and packed a lot of story in. So I know that they have the capability of telling a good story and like making a good show. And I don't know if it's like a case of AMC shortening their season. It feels like that. It just feels like maybe there was outside interference that crippled the show. And if that's the case, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry to the writers and, you know, John Lee Hancock and Mark Lafferty. That sucks. And now I'm dogging on you for something that wasn't necessarily your fault. But still, like, you gotta fucking, like, go back to the drawing board and make it fucking work. Like, cut out all the nonsense then. And it's tough. Making a TV show is tough. It's tough, and I get that. And it's a miracle that we are here. And anytime anyone's able to make anything, that's awesome and should be celebrated. But it also just shouldn't be giving gold stars for nothing. All right. I just think I'm getting really worked up because there's these glimmers of like what could have been a really solid show, and it's just not delivered upon. And so for that reason, it's much better than Mayfair Witches. There was episode 1 of season 2 of Mayfair Witches, where I was like, oh my God, did things turn around? Did they finally figure out how to make a TV show? And from there it was gone. But in this show, there are moments like throughout where I feel like they are onto something, and then it just goes up into smoke and isn't followed up upon later. But guys, we got to keep rolling on because we got 2 more episodes to go. If you can believe it. I'm still not finished.
If I tell you